talk about installation of the new Spoolfool fiberglass front bumper fillers and getting the headlight bezel to line up nice. These front bumper fillers were developed in response to our very successful one-piece rear bumper filler. And here it is. I am Spoolfool. Why my parents named me that? I don't know, but I do know how to put on a bumper filler, and that's what we're going to show you. The bumper fillers we'll be installing today will be on a Mr. Gary Wells' nice limited. It's an 87 limited. It is a very nice car, low mileage, pristine, straight as narrow. This is one of the cars that we used to mock up the fillers when we built them because, well, we know the history of the car. It's straight as narrow, and it was just a beautiful car. Anyways, here's the set that's going on. We already fit the fillers to the car before painting. As you can see, they did a nice job painting it, and it is a perfect match. So here's just sort of a close-up of the fillers. The notch that we did in the top of this, I don't know if it's a notch, but a circle with a slot, this allows flexibility. All cars are a little bit different. Not all of them are straight as narrow like Gary's here. In fact, a lot of them weren't straight as narrow from the factory. The problem with a lot of them, one of them, is getting two parts to line up. Getting this to line up with the header panel piece, and then getting the fender to line up, well, with this in the fender. Because once these things have been hit, a lot of times this fender alignment is different. It's in or out, and getting everything to flush out. This allows some adjustability in this, so if you have a perfect car, these should line up perfect. If you have a car that's been hit or other than perfect, these should still line up perfect. You just got to adjust it in or out. So that was kind of one of the reasons that we did that mod, and it came out quite nice. As you can see, the groove going down here is straight as narrow. This has been a problem on a lot of other fillers, is getting that straight. Also, getting the headlight bezel to line up with that. This one doesn't line up perfect, not because it's not straight. Let's see if I can do this. But there we go. But because the bezel's a little bit crooked. Most all these bezels are crooked. The bezel groove and the bezel don't always line up. Problem being is these bezels are not straight. There's different ones. Some are made in Canada. Some are made here in the United States. I don't believe that anyone's better than the other. I think they're all crooked. They were like that. So I'm going to show you how to shim the bezels and make them so they line up and that groove is as nice as it's going to be. Because if you look at a dozen of these cars, probably 10 of them, this line looks horrible. So, and I think that's one of the things that bugs me on these cars. So anyways, that's what we're going to do. There are the fillers. I'm here at the front of the car, and I want to show a couple different ways to put these on. One way, probably the best way to do it if you're not comfortable taking your time on this, is you want to take the front bumper off. Taking the front bumper off, it's the 4 screws on each side. You definitely want someone to help lift this off. Oh, also the valance, the spoiler on the bottom, the screws need to come off of that. This is heavier than it looks, and it will catch you off guard. And you definitely want someone to help you put it back on. Otherwise, getting it on there, you're going to clobber the new bumper filler, and you just don't want to go there. One way that I do it is I don't even take the bumper off. You have to really finesse it and take your time so you don't scratch things, but that's how I'm going to show you how to do it. And you can do it in about half the time. You just need to be very careful. The first thing what I've done, I've got some low tack tape, and I'm going to put it on the edge of the car where the bumper filler will shoot in through. That way I don't scuff the edge of the paint, because it is a tight fit going in there. Also, I put some on the bumper, not that I'm going to scratch the chrome off, but I might scratch the paint off the bumper filler going in here. It is tight. If you cannot get it in here, what I would recommend, you can loosen up the screws on the bumper. They are slotted, and you can move the bumper this way to the side that you're doing the bumper, and that'll give you more room to sneak it in there. And then you slide it back over for the other one, and then you don't have to take this spoiler off, and that'll save you a lot of time. Another thing you do to get a little more room coming in here, I have a deep well socket push, this is spring loaded, the grill back, place that in there, and that'll give you some more room to work it around in there. I'm showing you all my tricks here. I want to say one thing: when the bumper goes back on, it's very, people don't realize this, but the bumper height is fairly critical. Not just visual how it looks here, but this line at the bottom of the fender needs to project out in a straight line to the bottom of the bumper. If it doesn't, what happens is it will kink where this attaches here, here, and here, and that makes these bow out in the middle. I'm sure you've seen that on a lot of cars, or in. So it is critical to get the bumper at the right height, project that line out to the bottom of the bumper. Play around with it. It may not be exactly out, but just see what this spoiler likes to not bind it up and get it nice and straight. Anyways, that's that. We're ready to put the filler in and try it out. Again, you want to try the filler before you paint it. Make sure everything's lining up right. We've already done that before we painted this one. Everything on my fillers, front and rear, are pre-drilled. Now the holes should be very close. Probably most of them will work. You may have one or two that might be a 1/16 off or something, because every one of these cars is a little different. No two are exactly the same, so you may need to take a little round file and just kind of work one or two. These are pretty overbuilt. These are very rigid. You probably don't need all 4 holes down the side here. I put them on there. You might as well have them on there. But anyways, the trick to getting this in, now this is flexible. You can flex it in and out. The way I do this, in like that, take your time. See if I can do this. Now if you notice going in, 2 points, this is tucked in. This is going to scrape off the paint on this bumper if you're not careful. Also, where this rubs against here, pulling it in, you can pull this out to get a little more access. So what I want to do here, lift the nose up. I'm sticking that in on the bumper, flexing that out, lifting, pulling it in, and there it is. Not too hard. Lines up nice. Once you've established it's in place, everything's looking good, your holes all line up, then once it's in, I would leave this tape on. You can reach in here and peel this tape off because you're done with that. That was just to get it in place. Once the tape's off, then you can put your bolts in here, these ones up from the bottom, get everything to line up. I like to line up the fender first, get that line nice and just perfectly flush. Once that's in, then I come back over here. So if this is just a hair off, you can flex this thing in or out, get that to line up before you tighten these 3 down. And that'll, or 4, there's one back up in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll snug this down. So this lines up, and it's the best it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and bolt that on. Okay, got my bumper filler bolted on there. We got it all. Well, first of all, I jacked the car up, put a jack stand under there, get a little more room under here. Got to notice my creeper, and got the bolts, got this adjusted right where I want it, got it snugged down. Came over here, got these started. Had to tweak it about a 1/16 of an inch and snug it right there. Very happy with how it turned out. Everything looks good in relationship to the car and the bumper. Now we need to do the bezel. And actually this is the hard part. I mean, this video, it's how to install bumper filler. The bumper filler is pretty cut and dry. It's pretty easy. There's not a whole lot to it. The bezel, this is kind of where the magic is. And what I'm going to show you here, this you can use with any, good information to know with any bumper filler. How to get them, I wouldn't say to line up perfect, but as good as you're going to get for the tolerances to which these were built, these cars. Meaning the header panel, the filler, and the bezel, and the attachment points, which is another thing I want to point out. Be very careful tightening these down. When you tighten the bezel down, just tighten it down so it doesn't rattle, basically, especially these screws. These are notorious for snapping. This one's already got a little crack in it. They're very hard to repair. You can repair them with a little fiberglass. And then what I've done is drill it out to a 3/16 hole, and then you get a 3/16 molly. They're just any hardware store. I cut them down a little shorter just because you don't need it grabbing that much. Put them in that new 3/16 hole that you drill, and then the first time you put a screw in there, put soap on the screw, That'll keep it from grabbing and spinning this in the hole. That's just kind of off topic here, just how to repair those if you do break them or if they're already broken. The only way I know how to do it. Anyways, went ahead, got it all in here. I want to take this out just to make sure there's no conflict and it's hitting home where it's supposed to hit. That feels good. Everything lines up real nice there. I'm going to put this back in though because I want to have access for this release hole for taking my bezel in and out, and having that in there, that'll give me that. Anyway, so the first thing I did after getting the filler where I wanted is I put the bezel in. Now these things are always bent up, twisted up, but I'm going to show you how to kind of make it work. When I first put it in, snapped it in place, I put all the screws in, I just snugged them down. There was a pretty nice gap underneath here. There was about a, I don't know, quarter-inch gap here. It fit really nice here to here, and then a quarter-inch gap here, and about a 3/16 gap here. That is very typical. So what I do is I put shims in the top to force it down and also straighten it and bend it to where it's a straight line on the bottom. So, that popped out easy. Sometimes they don't. Get off of there. What I use, and I've already put them in place, are a couple of shims. Those are plastic shims. Now what I use, I mean, I guess you could use washers or stuff, but you don't want to do anything steel that's going to bleed rust that's going to come out. So I like these. These are just horseshoe shims. Most construction workers use them. They come in different thicknesses. The blacks are 1/4 inch thick, the reds are 1/8, and the blues are 1/16 of an inch thick. Glass guys, you go to a glass shop, they have tons of these. They even keep them on their truck. They'll probably just give them to you. They will. Tell them I said it was okay. Anyway, you cut these whatever thickness you want. You just take some snips, cut them, just to use little pieces. And the beauty of these is you can fit them in the areas you want to fit them. And the area is on top of here. You don't want to put them out in the middle because that's going to force this to bow down. Here's the screw that holds this in place. So you want to actually put it outside that screw. These are just a little less than 1/2 inch wide, so they'll fit in that little area right there where a washer will not. On this one, looks like I had a blue and a red in there, so that added up to 3/16. That was the magic number for this one. Now also I'm using a high stick tape on here, also known as cheap tape. 1/4 inch was the magic number here, and I didn't need anything on this side. The shim I put here is close to this center point. I don't want to put it out here because it's going to start to bow that down. You don't want to do that. These will bow. They're probably already bowed. So once I did that, put those in place, snapped it in there, snugged all the screws back down, that gave me a straight line across the bezel groove here. It's not perfect. If you look up from the bottom, you can still see a little gap. This thing's still kind of twisted, but looking at it, and anyone that looks at it at a car show, they're going to look at it and say, hey, that's the best one I've ever seen. So let me put it on. I'll show you what it looks like. Well, there it is. All in. Looks good. I'm going to take my default socket out of here before Gary drives off with it. The other side goes in pretty much just the same way. If you've got a alky pump behind the bumper there, as we did, well, the filler still fit in and out fine with the pump there. So your results may vary. Wanted to thank everyone for the support on both the front and rear fillers that I've done. Hopefully you guys makes an install easier or somewhat educational. If you've got a different way of doing it, let us know. On this video, if you see it on YouTube or turbobuick.com, go ahead and if you've got anything to add to it, I welcome that. So this is all about helping the next guy out and just having these cars around as long as we can, and just sharing the love and the knowledge of these. I want to thank the guys on turbobuick.com for allowing me to be a vendor there and sell these. It's been a great thing so far. My fiberglass guy has barely been able to keep up with production, so thank you, Shane, on that. And it's a great site. If you are seeing this on YouTube, I just say come visit turbobuick.com. If you want to see more pictures of these, I have them there. You can search Spoolfool'S front bumper fillers or Spoolfool'S rear bumper filler, and you see more pictures of these if you're interested. there it is. So from Spoolfool'S Garage, thank you and happy spooling.